It has been an agitation fermenting for the past few years in the hills of Uttar Pradesh. And like similar agitations in other parts of the country, the basic demand is focused on creation of a separate state. In this case, the demand is for the state of Uttarakhand, comprising the regions of Kumaon and Garhwal hills in Uttar Pradesh. But last month, the Uttarakhand region was up in arms protesting not for statehood but against the reservation policy of the Mulayam Singh Yadav government, which had extended 27% reservation to the backward classes in government jobs and educational institutions in the hill areas where the OBCs are less than 3% of the total population.
हम 27% आरक्षण की नीति का विरोध नहीं कर रहे हैं, बल्कि समूचे उत्तराखंड क्षेत्र को जो 9 डिस्ट्रिक्ट हैं हमारे, उनको आरक्षण की परिधि में लाने की बात कर रहे हैं, यानी हमें भी आरक्षण दिया जाए.
The anti-reservation agitation in the hills snowballed with demonstrations taking place all over the state. But it was violence in Mussoorie where 7 anti-reservation activists were shot dead by the police and the subsequent call for a state-sponsored Bandh on the 13th of September in UP, which led to the Uttar Pradesh Congress Committee under their newly appointed president Mr. Narayan Dutt Tiwari to call for the withdrawal of support to the coalition minority government headed by Mulayam Singh Yadav. There was further violence during the BSP-SP-sponsored Bandh on the 13th and the shocking incident in the premises of the Allahabad High Court where pro-reservation agitationists, allegedly led by some policemen, beat the lawyers and ransacked the chambers of the Chief Justice of the UP High Court, brought instant reprimand from the Supreme Court. The Chief Secretary of the UP government as well as the IGP were summoned by the Supreme Court and an inquiry instituted under the CBI Director Mr. Vijay Rama Rao. Critics believe that the stakes are being raised in UP mainly because the Mulayam Singh government is keen to capitalize on the reservation issue with eyes on a mid-term poll as well as panchayat elections.
Congress also had vote banks based on caste, and Mr. Mulayam Singh is no exception. He is also playing vote bank politics, and this caste divide that he is trying to create is in fact to promote his party and ensure his success in the elections in Uttar Pradesh.
But Congress leaders are quick to denounce these opportunistic policies.
To gullible people, the fundamentalists of both types, fundamentalists of the communal type and fundamentalists of the casteist type, both have been diverting the focus of attention of the masses from developmental efforts to these issues, which do not actually contribute to the standard of living of the millions of poor people.
For the Congress, the dilemma in UP is acute. Having been politically marginalized in the last 2 elections, they find themselves on a cleft stick. Mr. N.D. Tiwari was in Delhi in a bid to convince the High Command that the Congress should distance itself from the Mulayam Singh government. Observers, however, feel dismissing the Mulayam Singh government or even withdrawal of support will imply the Congress's anti-reservation, an image it can ill afford to project at a time when crucial states of Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka are going in for assembly polls at the end of the year.
Our decision will be based on our assessment as to whether our decision will result in an impression being created that Congress is anti-reservation. That impression will not allow to take place.
Moreover, there is acute awareness that any move to carve a separate state of Uttarakhand will mean giving in to similar demands in other parts of the country. Caught in the horns of a dilemma, the Congress High Command, although critical of the manner in which the UP state government has handled the situation, has resisted from taking any decisive action. However, what may ultimately decide the future of the Mulayam Singh government is the degree to which politicians believe the BJP will gain from the current developments.
The caste divide is between the upper caste and the lower caste, and the lower caste comprise, according to BSP and SP, 80-85% of the population. And this reservation which they are pursuing vigorously is attracting the lower caste, the scheduled caste, the tribals, etc. And therefore they are really attracting 85% of the total population. And the most likely losers would be the BJP, who did rather well in 91